I was just listening to some Jesus music on the way home. So when I drop my daughter off, my ride home is like 25 minutes. In the morning, it's a little faster than the afternoon. Um, and that's some of my JC time. I'm using, by the way, Biossance Squalane and Copper Peptide Rapid Plumping System. It's my serum. So I either listen to Joyce Meyer, who's like a preacher, but she's like really fun and funny. She's older. She's been around like preaching 25 years, I think she said. Or I listen to, sometimes I'm just not in the mood to, like if I'm tired or just my brain doesn't feel like focusing like that, I'll just put on some praise Jesus music. And so that's what I did this morning. I'm a little tired. I was like, let's listen. So I listened to, now I forget what it's called. Good morning, Marie. Oh my goodness, you're here. Bright and early. I know, I was like, I don't know if Marie will be on this morning because it's early, but I have stuff to do. I got a lot to do before it's spring break. Cora has a half day, which I hate half days because it's 25 minutes away and the carpool line sucks. So basically I'm going to have today only like 2 hours to do anything. Oh, I'm putting on my moisturizer. It's purple. Good morning, Bubble. It's been a couple days. So I just hate half days. They're a pain in my butt. So anyway, so I'm gonna like speed clean this house. I don't know what happened. I feel like, you know, when they say, oh, a bomb exploded, it's like just that type of thing. I don't know why. I don't know how, but life and a child and me. And my husband, he's actually pretty good at keeping like the main areas of the house clean. Like his man cave is like a hot mess and he kind of hoards, but overall he's pretty neat. I decluttered yesterday. Oh, did I post that? I can't remember if I don't think, did I not post it? My God. Oh yeah, it wouldn't connect to the computer. I'll have to try again today. I did my closet again, but I just keep going. I'm like, I need to get rid of more, I did it a few months ago, I think. I think it was before my 40 bags in 40 days. And then like you see what you wear and don't wear and stuff. So I did another one. So I decluttered a decent amount considering I had just done one a few months ago. So got my moisturizer on. So I'm going to speed clean. I don't know, this weekend's rehearsal just made the house in disarray. Sipping your coffee. That's funny. Gee, how do you feel about Trumpster over there getting arrested? Actually, I don't know if I should bring that up. That could be a very divisive thing on here. So here's my Lawless. I love this stuff. It's by Lawless, Pink Marshmallow. It's like a lip balm, and it's plumping. It's not like when I was in my 20s and they came out with the plumping stuff that actually made your mouth like tingle for like a couple minutes, and it actually plumped them more. It was called Lip Injection by Too Faced. I wonder if they make that anymore, but this stuff isn't that crazy, but I wonder if it has hyaluronic acid or something, and that just kind of like adds moisture. If you pay attention, there's a slight tingle. But today, if we can't discuss anything, we shouldn't be here. Well, that's true. I just like, I can discuss anything. I just don't want people to feel uncomfortable or like, I don't know. But yes, that's why I always ask these questions. But then I guess I second guess myself because I'm so open about everything and I'll talk about whatever all day long. So sometimes I feel like I know people are different than me. Life is uncomfortable. That's true. It is. So, well, you might know my opinion of Trump. And it's nothing to do with Republican. And I think that's where a divide has come, where it's just crazy because for me, before Trump, I mean, my dad's Republican, I have Republican friends, like it didn't seem so divided. And I know we can, like Democrats and Republicans can kind of place blame on each other for the divide. And I think it's everybody. To be honest, I think it's everybody. I think a lot happened between Obama and Trump and the pandemic. And yeah, I mean, it just, in general, I feel like I don't know, it's just, it's a sad, and this is where I know we'll have different opinions, but like, to me, like I know for the Trump supporters, it's a different viewpoint. So it's hard to like explain, because I'll say my thing, like, it was so sad to me watching, for me, what our country's come to, that we're in this situation, right? That a president, ex-president, is being handcuffed. Banana Republic. And for me, it's not because, oh, look what we did to him, which, again, I do think, yes, in politics, people go after the opponent, and that's shitty, right? And that's always happened. I think from our side, you know, Trump has done things that there are certain people that it's almost makes him, I guess, an easier target. I don't know what the outcome will be for these counts, right? Like that he's accused of. I don't know the story. I wasn't there. Do I think it's possible he did that? Yes. Do I think it's possible he did not do that? Yes. And are, like, the district attorney bringing this forward, if it's not true, will show something, right? Well, yeah, of course. If it's not true, and that will be, you know, that we'll see that, and I think that will not look good on the district attorney, obviously, if it's not true. No felony and statute. Well, the statute of limitations, didn't it not pass because it was paused because he moved? Which that is a law, right? If we're going by law. I'm not saying it's a great law. You know, so I don't know about that part. But I come from a family of lawyers, so it's very much like, what are the facts, black and white? So is it past the statute of limitations? I don't have the law book in front of me. From what they say and what they've calculated, but this is hearsay because I didn't even hear that part yesterday on the news. I didn't hear that actual part. So what I've heard about the statute of limitations was through word of mouth, right? So, and I'm always clear about what I hear. So the statute of limitations, I don't know the facts. Court to. So that I would have to look at. But I have heard that two things. It was, for one, because he moved out of New York to Florida. And then two, there was another pause because of COVID in Florida, right? Or something, or in New York because of COVID, that there was over a year pause for statute of limitations period because they couldn't have court. So a statute of limitations, I'm not totally clear on the facts yet. That's something I would have to look up to have my opinion on it. I mean, but it is what it is. It's either it's within it or it's not. It's pretty black and white. Did this make it seem like it was something more and covering some bigger thing maybe we didn't know about, or that's what at least we were almost expecting, because it does seem like almost like this wouldn't be big enough, even though it's not great. Like, you know, that there was maybe some conspiracy behind it. We learned yesterday that that is not true, right? So I think that's good. I would honestly, I would like Trump to have not done these things and to be not guilty. Not because I like him. I don't. Many of these people are jerks. Well, and I think he's a jerk, right? Like, I mean, that isn't a fact. It doesn't matter. Who's a jerk and isn't a jerk isn't the law, right? Like, it doesn't really have an effect. For me, I mean, there's Democrats I don't like. There's politicians in general I don't like, right? On our side, on the other side. I'm not the biggest fan of Trump. I get like the whole aspect of the allure of having somebody who's not a typical politician in power. Like, I feel all for that in the way of there's so much shady crap that goes in politics, right? So it's nothing about that. For me, just Donald Trump, his personality, and you know how anti-narcissistic I am. I do feel like there are many narcissistic tendencies, and that gets under my skin. That kind of, for me, is something that is triggering, because I feel like there is gaslighting that goes on, and an entitlement sometimes that I'm just not here for. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a Republican, a Democrat. People who act like that, it just is a personality that I do not jive with, right? But that has nothing to do with politics for me. Does that make sense? I'm going to try this one again. This Maybelline Expert Wear eyeshadow, the Glow Down. I'm just going to apply it with my finger. So there's the talk about that. But so I would like him to not be guilty. I think a lot of people think Democrats just want to see him burn. I would want to see him pay for what he did if he did something, just like anybody else. I would want to see a Democrat pay for what they did. Like, I'm all about justice. My personality, I'm a justice seeker in general. If you've been following me, you know that, even just with the situation with my trees. Like, it's more than just about the trees, right? Get Hillary. I knew that was coming. I smelt it from here. And Hillary, I will tell you, I liked her when she first ran against Obama, and then she changed her stance on a couple of things, and I actually was not the biggest fan of her the second go round. So I'm letting you know that to show you, like, it's not like, and I speak for myself, not all Democrats and stuff, but it's not just like, ooh, whoever is running, I want them, you know? I really do look at, she did change. I mean, I voted for Obama, but there were things that I liked about her, you know, when she ran then. And her stance on certain issues. And then it was so strange. It was like, wait a second, because I read really thoroughly on how people's stances. Like, I research, I dig, I know what I'm talking about. So the second time around, I'm like, wait a second, why did her stance shift on this, right? Like, certain things, and that annoyed me, because I was all like kind of excited about it, like, okay, this could be something. And then I was like, I can't really back that up, you know. Other issues I did agree with her. I think a lot of politicians are shady. I'm not going to say all. I will never say that. But I think a lot of them, and including Trump with certain things, do I think who he is has made some Democrats more like wanting to get something on him? Maybe, right? Which shouldn't be the case. So, but if he did certain things, yes, I think he should be held accountable. And I will say that about anybody. So yeah, personality-wise, just the arrogance that's there, and you can't say he's not arrogant, no matter what. I think that's kind of just a fact. Doesn't mean you don't like him. There are arrogant people I like in comedy. I have friends that are kind of arrogant, but they're really fun, With him, I don't know, there's not enough other things to make up for it in my mind, I guess. Is that how you could say it? Let me see if anyone wrote with it. Okay. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything while I was doing my lips. I have to do my foundation, but I just did my blush. I guess we're not doing foundation again. But I'm very much a facts person, and I think if there is some crime and it is proven, then you do your time. Do the crime, do the time. Like, it's pretty simple. The whole Donald's an asshole, okay? Being an asshole doesn't mean he's guilty. Being an asshole doesn't mean he gets locked up. The little cry there. Well, but there are laws in place, and these lawyers, these judges, they do have to go by law. That's just how America is. That's what it is. There's laws set in place. So a long time ago, it doesn't matter. Yeah. That part, our opinion on that doesn't matter. I can't even go there other than if a bill comes out to change that. Like, if a bill comes out to change the statute of limitations and we get to vote on it, then we have, we can have a say or whatever, it's our votes matter. This is where it matters, right? Because maybe certain people want the statute of limitations to be less in general, right? So that's where our votes matter. But in general, right now, our opinion of the statute of limitations means squat because it is a law that is already in place and it's black and white. Like, that law is black and white. Whatever year, if there's something paused, that's it. Like, there's not an opinion, like, even for the judge. Could the judge be easier on him? Which, could be, okay, it's this many years ago, so maybe the sentence or whatever would be less than if it were last year. Like, they can do that, right? But at the end of the day, the law is the law for the statute of limitations. You know what I mean? For any law. If it's a black and white law and it's very clear what it is. Like, with numbers, you can't fudge numbers. So, look, I hope that any president, any ex-president is not charged with a crime and has not committed a crime. Like, that, for me, would be a sad day, right? Like, that is a sad time for our country if that has happened. It could not happen in this situation, right? He could get totally wiped of it and like, sorry, our bad, and it will look bad on the DA. That's okay too. That would change my opinion of the DA too. I don't feel like I have enough information yet to have that strong. Do I love the DA anyway? Kind of like neutral. And I think the outcome of this could, you know, could change people's opinion either way, right? On the DA. I love how this got political when I was supposed to talk about, what was I supposed to talk about? I don't remember what I wrote in the title. Oh, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. I wanted to talk about that because I asked Jesus this morning. So we can, I guess we can go, no one's saying anything anyway. So that's my opinion. I like hearing your opinions. And I am disappointed in our country as a whole. Both sides of the coin, both parties. Both there too. I'll close this part up with that. I think a lot of us have very similar goals for ourselves, for our children, for our families, for the country to be better. And I think what's happened here is extreme sides of each party have gotten louder and more divided and are creating more of a divide. Yes, to live in peace would be nice. Right? Like I would love there to be way less of a divide. I love people. I don't care what political party you are. I think we all at the core have a lot of we're more alike than we are different, and that is what needs to be remembered. And then I feel like there's extreme sides that are so extreme that it has damaged the unity we had. I mean, you think about after 9/11, if we could feel that again, you know, there was no political party BS. Did we have little debates over certain issues? Sure. Like, we're human. I think that's healthy. That's good. That's what makes the world go round, to have differences. But this has become painful and ridiculous and divisive. Yeah, the debates, it becomes so personal and on character and on the person themselves rather than debating the issues, you know? And the destruction on both ends, just in protests, in, you know, January 6th. And I hate that. Like, I know those were extremists. I know what happened there was extreme and crazy. Our freedom of speech is what is in danger. Well, and that's the thing. I think now, not myself, but there are, I'm sure, Democrats, especially extreme, I don't even want to say liberals. I think extreme on either side. I don't want to label it. It's just extreme people, mentally unwell people too, right? There are those people in these categories that take something and just go with it. And like January 6th, it's like there are certain people that view that as all the Republicans, right? And that's not the truth. And then there are people that look at protests, you know, like Black Lives Matter's protests. And then there's Republicans that'll look at, thank you. There are, like, let's say Black Lives Matter, right? Let's talk about there being destruction in the city, right? Then there's people, Republicans, saying, oh, look at all those Democrats, they're right? We're both doing it to each other. And then we don't want it done to ourselves. Like, what sense does that make? We cannot stereotype an entire group because of extremists. Yes, I will. You think just because I have these feelings or these thoughts, I think I'm 1,000% right? No. My words, my beliefs, my morals, my ethics, my views on social situations, my support of equality in all the ways, like I'm very passionate about that, right? It all is because of how I was raised, where I was raised, who I was raised by, who's around me now. Same for you. Yes, social justice. I don't know why my brain fogged. So I get that you and I, if we grew up different places, we grew up in different neighborhoods, we had different parents, we had different families, different friends. It wouldn't make sense. We would have each of these. There's so much just to politics, let life alone. Of course, we're not going to think exactly the same. And just because I think this way doesn't mean I'm always right or I'm right for you. My father marched with Caesars. Wow. Yeah. Right. So I have many gay people in my family. Guess what that created me to be? A supporter. I saw people very close to me have a really hard time because early in my life, it was still like, I mean, it's more accepted now, but they were terrorized. They couldn't go out in public and hold the person they love's hand. And I will get choked up talking about that. Because I remember when I had my first boyfriend, holding his hand in the mall and thinking how unfair it was that that person in my life was not allowed to hold their person's hand. That sort of stuff is the stuff that will change you, and that will not change you because I grew up with it, but that sort of stuff will create you to have an opinion of it doesn't matter. Like, what matters is love and happiness, and people not, like, God's the judge of everything. I'm not here to judge. Mistreatment, I'll judge that. You mistreat me, I will get away from you. I see someone in high school, I broke up fights. I stood up, there was a poor blind kid, and my first week of school, the blind kid sitting alone, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go sit with him. I'm in line. As I'm in line waiting for food, I see this guy start harassing him, making fun of him. And so I charged up there, started yelling at the guy, sat down with the kid, and said, that guy he's clearly miserable. That guy, nobody that's happy would ever do that to you. You don't pay attention to him. And we became friendly. And that's way more important than giving a shit who somebody else loves. And I get people have different opinions of that because their own experience. But that's my passion. That's my experience. That's my life. Right? So you have your experience. I have mine. You are free to share with me what you believe. I encourage it. I want to hear it. I want to understand why people think the way they do on the other side of things. I want you to understand how I got here and why I think the way I do. I think it's important. I think people are so shut off to each other and so stubborn. It doesn't mean me listening to you means I'm going to change my mind. Sometimes it could. Sometimes I might hear something and say, oh, well, that makes a little sense. Oh, and maybe I'll say something. There was a guy I talked to. He came at me on Facebook about when gay marriage got approved. And I said something. I said, let's take this offline. And we talked very maturely like this. I said, I want to hear out why you're so against it. And then I want to share my story too. Is that okay? He said, yeah. We went back and forth for 2 weeks on Facebook. Very respectful of each other. And at the end, he was he had said all the gays should move to California then. When it became, he goes, they should all live there. We don't need them anyway. By the end of our conversation, I was very real. I told him who and what in my life, who was gay, my experience, how it was close to home, and how no one would choose that life. And at the end, he said, I'm so glad I talked to you. And this actually, I would never think it would shift my mind, but I'm still not okay with it, marriage as like in a religious aspect, like in the church, but I think civil union would be okay, because in the end, I think they should have the right to write to their partner to see them in the hospital and, like, all of that stuff, have, the benefits. So something like that, you never know. So it's more damaging to not let other people talk. And that could go the other way too. I've had situations where on social situations, I've always encouraged equality, so I know it's not about that. But I know there was one situation I talked to someone where I kind of was like, oh, something, I think it was like around taxes and whatever, where I felt like pretty strongly about my opinion. And it did make me be like, oh, damn, yeah. Interesting, right? Where I thought about even voting, maybe I would not vote the same. So it's important for us to hear each other. And it just is so hard to watch. It's so hard to watch these last, I mean, the last decade politically here has been a mess. And it's honestly heartbreaking to me. It really is. Because I do believe we get so stuck on our differences that we ignore all the similarities. And we get so focused on the extremists that we start getting closer to the extremes, because we'd rather back up toward this extreme than accept the extreme of the other side. Does that make sense? Which I don't like. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to just believe something because it's on our side. The protests get violent because of the severe divide and the passion people have, and the media on both sides, okay? I'm going to call it out. CNN and Fox, they are the exact same media. They are the exact same media, and I will fight you on that. They are the exact same. They're just on different sides. They are both fear-mongering. They are both want to really go after the opposite. The media has created this. Social media has created this. Why is it worse? Because we have those outlets. I do not like CNN. I do not like Fox. An ethno-nationalist for the Netherlands. Yeah. Yeah. And you can have opinions on both sides. There are things that it annoys me sometimes, because I'll have more liberal views, especially with social justice. And then with certain things, I have some Republican views. And so I'm registered independent. So chew on that. But yeah, social justice wise, hands down liberal views, right? So it depends on what the thing is, but there are some more Republican views I have. I wouldn't say I'm crazy conservative in them. Usually it's teetering on the moderate side. You're independent too, Marie? Yeah. Because guess what? I don't fit in a box of anything. I've never fit into a box. But I do, I feel like I do relate to more liberal beliefs in general. If it was a percentage wise, I haven't sat there but I assume, knowing what I know of myself, I believe it's more on the liberal side. But there are certain issues that I would vote right on, right? We're humans. We don't have to fit in a box. You don't have to be a certain thing, right? It means the Netherlands for the Dutch people. The Dutch people, yeah. Yeah, so that is, what I guess. And I hate saying that because, again, I feel like that's a stereotype. For me if I were to say, well, yeah, the liberals are for the man, but the Republicans are not. I don't think that's necessarily true either. I think there are a lot of Republicans that are for the man in many ways, and then maybe they're super passionate. Like, I know someone who is liberal in so many ways, but they're very, very pro-life. So they vote Republican because that is like the hill they will die on, because they are so passionate about that. So let's try to not fit in a box. You know, let's try to not look at it as black and white, and like have a mind of your own and say, yep, I've got beliefs here, I've got beliefs there. I don't like to label myself as anything. I'm human. I love people. I support loving whoever the hell you want to. I support doing things as long as they're not hurting anyone else. And people could have different opinions of that, right? I could say that to people who are very anti-gay, and they could say they're hurting our ecosystem. They're hurting our world. They're hurting the human race, right? So that's a whole other debate I would have to have. Not today. That is not the hill I'm going to die on today. But it's a hill I'll die on. I'm very, very pro-equality for everybody. I mean, that is one of my big passions. But I do have to get ready because it's been 36 minutes and I didn't even talk about how it's not your fault. But it's not your fault. Abuse is not your fault. If you're still here, if you're on replay, we're finally getting to the part about the abuse related thing. That was the message this morning. And it was really about a lot of times when we go through abusive situations, it's, we feel like we could have caused it because they will manipulate to think that like you made me respond that way. You made me, it could be the physical, like, well, I wouldn't have pushed you if you wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have said that if you There is no excuse for someone acting that way. If they have no control over themselves, that is a them thing. It is never, ever, ever, ever your fault. Never. You cannot make somebody abuse you. People abuse you over your political beliefs. Yeah, that's true. Not every political, I would not be an is it ethno-nationalist if I were an American. Right, and that's true too. Because everything's set up in different ways and different political systems, like you said, in every country. Different beliefs can belong to different categories or whatever you want to call it, right? So yeah, that's a good point. What you are there doesn't necessarily equate to something over here perfectly. I don't think it equates anywhere. Me and my husband are both, I think he's registered independent too, but we're both like more liberal, but we have differences of opinion on certain things, right? Like, so I just hate the whole labeling thing in general. I just hate it. Like, can we scrap our labels? Just say, I am who I am. I'm voting for. And I'm going to stand up for what I believe in, whatever aspect that is. True. I hear my husband speaking with. She has a doctor's appointment. Okay, I'm going to go speed clean. I said that like 5 minutes ago. So I'm going to really do it. It's not your fault. Abuse sucks. The divide sucks. I hope that our former president does not commit the crimes that he is being accused of. That's it. Oh, thank you, Marie. So do you. I forgot that foundation, though. It's like every day. I should just put it out so I remember. All right, people, have a beautiful day. You too, Bubble. Thanks for the talk. And even if we don't agree on everything, I am glad that you share. Put up your deuces and your smooches and have a great day. I already said that, but have it twice. Boom. Deuces.